Today, we're taking a little break from mainline railroading and heading off to some beaten paths of trackside industries and short lines across central Nebraska. And when there's short lines, there is unmatched locomotive variety. On our way out of Lincoln, we took a few quick shots of an Omax coal train. These go to the Omaha Public Power District and are fairly popular among Lincoln railfans. We continued on BNSF's Ravenna subdivision up to the town of Tamora, where there's a grain elevator with two classic EMDs, still proudly wearing their fallen flag railroad colors. While admiring these, an employee of the elevator pulled up and let us climb on board the engines. Before I knew it, I was standing in the cab of a Conrail GP8. A railfan dream come true. How could this get any better? Perhaps catching a passing train from said Jeep. We thanked the employee for a gracious locomotive tour and continued west, and caught up to the coal empty for a small chase. Our second stop was McCool Junction, with its depot still intact, as well as an accompanying Burlington Northern caboose. Then it was on to the open country, where a Norfolk Southern SD40 was switching out cars at an industry. Geneva was the next town that had a very special locomotive I've known about for a long time.
Oh my gosh, there it is.
There's also two BN cabooses back in the trees. I don't know if we'll see them.
Oh my gosh.
This idling 080 has a vast history, one that took place very far away from Nebraska. It was built by Baldwin in the 1920s for the Grand Trunk Western Railroad, and was numbered 8374. It worked for the GTW all the way until the end of steam, when it and its classmates were retired and sent to Northwestern Steel and Wire. This was a scrapyard in Sterling, Illinois that received engines from many other railroads, including New York Central, Nickel Plate Road, and the Burlington route. But what would have been the end of 8374 instead became its claim to fame, as rather than scrapping the 080s, Northwestern Steel placed them into service, moving loads of scrap around the facility. They would go on doing this for decades, not being retired until the early 1980s. By that time, the switchers had become very well known, and many were preserved. Several went to the Illinois Railway Museum and other owners, but a few remained in storage. That is where 8374, shortened to 74 during its time at Sterling, stayed until the 2000s. It was bought by a private owner in Geneva, Nebraska, and was moved there by truck in 2006. 74 has stayed here ever since, but is clearly not in optimal condition. I couldn't find much else on who the owner is or some of the other rolling stock, except for the passenger car, which is a former Burlington heavyweight used by work crews. All around, an amazing sight to find on the side of the road. We bidded farewell to 74 and continued driving to our westernmost destination, Dorchester, Nebraska. Some of you might already know what special train place is here, especially if you're a model railroader, but I'm afraid that will have to wait for a future video. We took a quick break from the trains with this next attraction, the world's largest porch swing, which can be found in Hebron.
We're swinging. It's very big.
High quality Nebraska entertainment.
Absolutely.
And now back to trains.
This is totally normal. There's nothing at all wrong with this.
Belvidere is home to less than 100 people, but also a train-watching platform and Union Pacific's busy Marysville subdivision, exemplified by a westbound intermodal. We've looked at industrial switchers and Class 1s, so now let's check out a short line. Like any short line, Manning Rail, which is in Fairmont, has a small yet unique cast of locomotives. Their GP9 started life on the Central Vermont and later Grand Trunk, while their SD60M is in the livery of a railroad you might be able to recognize. Also on site is a line of coal hoppers and seasonal storage, and a classic Northern Pacific boxcar still wearing its CarTrack barcode. It's been a long day with many different trains, and we're starting to lose daylight, but there was enough time for one more stop at a grain elevator in Dorchester. The locomotive residing here was a GP38-2 built for the Frisco, and now wearing the handsome Farmers Cooperative scheme, something that several other Nebraska switchers have also been painted in. It has surely seen quite a few long grain trains, but for now it can rest on a quiet small town evening, just like many other veteran locomotives across the Midwest.